Marshall, Clark to the rim. An 11-0 Iowa run. As one of the arena cameramen got hit there after the bucket, and the officials stopped play.
Right here, this is Caitlin Clark all on her own, jumping out to double team. She sensed that she could get the steals, that she could create some havoc, and she did, and got the layup the other way. And let's go.
Gabby Marshall approves.
I drive a very nice car. It's very fast, very shiny. But sadly, it's not built for the famous Aussie lifestyle. And I love the famous Aussie lifestyle.
I love the fashion.
I love the food. But mainly, I like to drive here. So this is my second car. Designed for my second home, Australia.
Bike rack, rod holders, roof racks, thong storage,
Built-in pie oven.
freshwater shower. Oh, hey Barrow. Valtteri is having a little shower too.
Budgie Smuggler drying system. BRS. Buck reduction system.
Mullet aeration technology.
Check this out. That's a bird.
I'm going to be busy racing my first car. So I put this baby on Uber Carshare. You can rent it for free because I am very rich already. Australia's home of second cars.
Valtteri will miss you.
I refuse to walk away from the fight.
I love my running bike. Schreiner Children is supplying custom-built adaptive bikes and wheelchairs for kids who dream of their first set of wheels. Thank you, Schreiner's Children.
Through Wheels for Love, you can make a kid's dream come true right now.
Because of you, I get the most amazing Kia anywhere. Big or small, your gift helps us all.
Go online to lovetotherescue.org.
Norris with the DRS on the back of Verstappen. Traffic lurking ahead though.
It's more of a bona fide overtake with a dive bomb than running.
Oh, there's
the
contact!
touch. Oh, he's got a puncture.
Verstappen punches his got a rear wheel off.
the rim sliding off. Lando Norris with issues as well. The front right tyre looking like it's got damage, almost driven off the road. Contact then between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris
And
for
he
the
won't
lead
let
of
him.
the
Pit lane is now closed. So here we go. Lando goes up the outside. That's fair enough. But actually, you know what? Max veered left towards him, didn't he? We'll see it from different angles, but here we go. Yeah, that's Max squeezing him out. I think Max will have to take the blame for that one, in my view.
And you can see the disbelief on in the McLaren garage. Verstappen and Norris making contact. The virtual safety car was out. VSC now ending. Let's head down to Mercedes in their team garage. We've got Bradley Lord with us throughout the weekend. Bradley, you're on for a race win with George Russell.
Well, it certainly
who has had good form so far this weekend. George Russell, who has never even stood on the podium here in Austria in Formula One, rounds the final couple of corners, keeps it neat and tidy within the track limits, and will launch himself to the top of the rostrum. George Russell wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri will come home in second for McLaren, and Carlos Sainz picks up the final spot on the podium in third. And as Verstappen and Lando Norris battled so hard for the race victory, in the end they come home with no podium. Verstappen having to fight hard for fifth with Nico Hülkenberg. He gets it in the end as Perez also trying to pick off Hülkenberg's sig. Perez
Start your
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Draft in the Circus program, brought to you by Sinister One Productions. My name is Frank Santarowski. I'll be your host for the next hour as we talk about this past weekend in racing and preview what we've got for July 4th week and weekend coming up. Joining me, Luis Torres. Luis, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Just finally no baseball to worry about.
There you go. There you go. So quick tip of the cap to our sponsors, Luis Torres Multimedia. Luis, you know that guy? Funny y'all have the same name.
Yeah, he's still looking. Still looking for gigs. But it's fortunately for that they already have one set up and one already happened, but the more the merrier.
Yep. So also Uber Carshare, the Senna series that's gonna come out in about Christmas time on Netflix, 2024. Give Bikes, Give Joy, Shriners Hospital. And then you saw the clip of Max Verstappen and Lando Norris get into one another towards the end of the Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And Louise, you get a chance to catch this race?
very little of it in the sense that everything that went down towards that point is pretty much the key point of the whole race, maybe the key point of the whole season.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this race was kind of shaping up to be possibly the most boring Grand Prix of the season, if that's a thing, right?
I mean, there's been a share of them this year.
Yeah, and it ended up to be one of the most thrilling ones there, where we had, realistically, Lando was faster than Max all day long. Lando's throwing down fast lap of the day, one after the other. Max is able to stay ahead until he has a pit stop that runs a little slow, and it ends up with Lando right on his tail. And then I forgot how much of an asshole Max can be when he's defending a position, because it's been a while since he's been actually defending a position, because usually he's just boom gone up the road. So here we go. I mean, Lando's all over him, left and right, trying to go inside, trying to go outside. Finally gets up alongside him. Max squeezes him off the track, and they make some contact, damage to both cars. Lando's done for the day. Max is able to continue and actually somehow extend his points lead. But they both draw some penalties, and then Max, of course, cries that the penalties are unfair, and nobody's want to hear that out of him. So, Louise, what were your thoughts on this whole thing?
It was bound to happen. To be honest with you, it was bound to happen. It seems like everything looked too mellow between Lando and Max, where like they've been fighting all season long. When it gets good, it gets good. It was just paramount that sooner or later, Max was going to have a moment where his title rival, quote unquote, because he's still, as in Lando, he still ways to go to catch him. Something like that happens when an opportunity rises to the occasion, and just an error on both ends, depending how you see it, in my opinion. And it resulted both guys losing a lot of points. And meanwhile, all the way back in here's the thing: when your number one driver does good, but suddenly always has trouble, you would expect your number two driver to be knocking on the door.
Except Red Bull's number two driver is, as we know,
it's nowhere near to be found, because yet another. Here we go again, and this is the thing I've been wanting to say for a long, long time. Here we go again. Pull up the graphic, please.
Keith, you got that graphic?
Because it's been bothering me for a long, long time that Checo Perez could be arguably the worst number two driver for a top team in a long time. He's making Heikki Kovalainen look good. He's making Ralf Schumacher look good. He's no Gerhard Berger. He's definitely not a David Coulthard. Don't even get me started. He's nowhere near Mark Webber, Rubens Barrichello. You cannot.
He's not even close to Ernie Irvine.
Eddie Irvine.
Eddie Irvine. Yeah, Ernie Irvine. Yeah, sure.
At least Eddie could have fought for a championship when Michael was out for half the season, and then Salo had it because of Irvine being in the championship picture. Mika Salo had to give up a win as a result, as an insurance policy or deal, because they knew Irvine could be up there. But that said, with Perez, he's floundering in qualifying way too much. Logan Sargent has been occasionally beating him way more than he should. Logan Sargent, who might be IndyCar bound for all we know next year, has outqualified Checo Perez more. He's outqualified Checo more than Alex Albon, and that's his teammate.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's what's my biggest discrepancy. The moment he said, "Oh, he's resigned for 2026," is like, you don't. I will defend my driver to a point. Look what he has done every time he signs a contract extension. Gone. Nowhere near to be found. Flundering. He'll be lucky to even finish fifth in the championship at this point. He'll be lucky to finish fifth, because George Russell is there. You can never count him out.
Yeah, Lando Norris is right there, right?
Lando is well ahead of Perez at this point.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oscar
And
Piastri
George
could
Russell,
probably beat him now.
Piastri's right there. Yep. Hamilton could jump into the mix.
It has not gone well. That to the point, if Jacko keeps floundering, he's gonna cost Red Bull the constructors championship. McLaren,
easily,
McLaren are the more coherent team as far as pace because they're not awfully far apart. They're not. Lando has more experience. He's their number one guy. But Oscar picks up the pieces, and he does normally well. Checo, on the other hand, he's just floundering and floundering. And I always said this for a long, long time. When he qualifies good, he's going to run good. When he does terrible in qualifying, no matter how you spin it or twist it,
he's not going to make up any ground. Yeah,
he's not. He can't even get long runs good anymore. He can't. A couple years ago,
here's the thing. So, like Richard and I were talking last week, or Lee and I were talking 2 weeks ago. I think the Red Bull realistically no longer has the best car. They've still got a very, very good car, right? But but they're not leaps and bounds ahead of the competition like they were. And yet Max is still winning races, right? We're really seeing how good Max is. Like if we go back to Canada, any one of those McLaren, Ferrari, or Red Bull could have won that race. The only reason Red Bull won that race, Max's driving skill, right? So, so to a certain extent, we're seeing just how good Max is behind the wheel without he has the best car,
He's generational. We've seen exactly. We've seen it from the very beginning. Yeah, sure. You could look at his debut race.
But you get the same arguments you have with Hamilton, the same arguments you have with Schumacher. Oh, well, his car is so much better than anybody else. You could train a monkey and put it in that car and they'd still win. No, you can't, because Sergio Perez is much better driver than a trained monkey, and he's not anywhere close to where Max is.
Yeah, look, if you look at times where the all-time greats had terrible cars, they're just underpowered, like Michael Schumacher, Ferrari 96. He was able to get wins out of that thing that I guarantee you John Lacey couldn't.
Yeah.
Or when Senna, when nobody knew if he was going to show up the next round, he found ways to put some of his best drives in an underpowered McLaren.
You mean
the final year of McLaren when Ford hopped in because they were hoping for Renault or Peugeot or something like that earlier.
Yeah. Michael Andretti floundered at the back while Senna won 5 races that year with a very, very underpowered car. That's where you see, just how much this driver is worth, right? That's what we're seeing out of Max. I'm not saying that Red Bull has fallen back dramatically, but the gap is no longer where it was. Because they've got McLaren's literally just about equal to them, and in some cases faster. Ferrari's right in their heels, and Mercedes gets better every week. And then, of course, we saw who was there to pick up the pieces when Max and Lando crashed. George Russell grabbing his first win. He was right up there, so you had Russell and Piastri on the podium. And who was third? Was it?
I think it might have been Hamilton. No, that was the week before when Hamilton decided to take a nap and Max found him taking a nap.
Yeah, I can't remember who finished third. Shit, I should know this. But anyway, but it wasn't Perez.
No,
you know what I mean?
I looked at it, it's like, oh, okay, he's done little. Okay, he's probably going to get 6 or 7, and he's pretty much stuck there, despite Max having problems and then Lando retirement. It looked like he's just staying in that spot the whole entire time. He's just nowhere near to be found.
Yeah, it's disappointing. So
that's a huge understatement to be honest with. To be honest with you, that.
And you would think Red Bull would, because you got other guys chomping at the bit that would love to be in that car, right? You got Carlos Sainz out there who's a proven race winner with very few options for next year. And, they're going to hold on to Perez. I realize they want a guy who isn't going to challenge Max, but they've got a guy who won't even challenge.
Can't even get into Q3 anymore.
Yeah. He's not going to challenge any of the McLarens or the Mercedes or the Ferraris. Maybe he'll challenge the Hocevar.
If you have Ralph Schumacher saying that Hulkenberg put him in a Red Bull car, you'll be miles better. How I see it is that Hulkenberg he's being serviceable. The only way I see it is that, he'll finally get a podium in Formula One if he goes there, but that's it.
Yeah,
or maybe Hulkenberg could blow us away for all we know. Everybody's been saying about Hulkenberg for all his entire career. Put him in a good run, he'll blow everybody away.
Yeah,
still waiting for that. And then I feel like if there was the opportune time, this would have been the opportune time, but that's not happening.
Right. So let's talk about the penalties a little bit, because we saw a couple of penalties throughout the race there, and several announced afterwards with track limit penalties. But for my money, Verstappen getting upset over the 5-second penalty. Where take your
I can understand.
Take your punishment like a man. It's pretty clear. He moved in defense of the line, pushed Lando off the track. Which you could say, hey, that's good hard racing, but Formula One, they like to be a little more civilized than they call out a penalty. And Max is acting like,
he gained more points on Lando than what he would have gained had he finished first or second.
Yeah, he still finished fifth.
Lando retired. He will not be. He's not classified as retirement because it was well past the 90% race distance, but he didn't finish. He didn't get any points.
He didn't get any points. Yeah, no, he hopped out of the car, and I still wonder if, because they said that was Lando's call to get out of the car. I wonder if he could have limped it around those last couple laps. I don't know how bad the damage was.
It has to be very significant, or to try to protect the car from any further damage.
Yeah,
I feel like it could have been more of a safer route, knowing that you're not going to get any points. Even if you get the fastest lap, you're not going to get any points because you're not in. I forget what was the rule. You're not in the top 10. I think if I remember, you have to finish in the top 10 to get the extra point.
He may have, if they could have serviced him pretty quick, he may have gotten, because Max still finished fifth after having a pretty lengthy pit stop for damage and whatnot. They had a virtual safety car going on.
Yeah,
it seemed like Lando pulled in the pits and just hopped on out.
Yeah, it's just probably suspension damage that's beyond repair, rather than just go out and then completely destroy it, junk the car.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a safer approach, and also, who knows, but probably the points were out of reach and all of that. Whereas Verstappen, they already pulled well ahead. He still got points out of it. It kind of shows you kind of the leaps and boundaries of both Verstappen and Norris have on the rest of the field, barring Ferrari and their incompetence.
Yeah.
Because if Ferrari and incompetence weren't such a thing, we probably have 7 or 8 cars battling for the win more often than we have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Was it Leclerc third? No, that think about it.
It would make much sense if
I believe so. Yeah, so
I look it up. I don't have my phone with me right now. If I open up my web browser, I freeze and crash again.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, but
but for George,
poor stats are George Russell and Oscar Piastri were 1 and 2.
Yeah, with George, he was able to get his first win in 2 years, and Mercedes' first win in 2 years when he did it as well. So Mercedes are back in victory circle or on the top step of the podium, and with Hamilton gone, I think it just shows hopefully confident that Toto will be hopefully okay without Lewis, knowing that you still have George, who's got a lot of more prime years in him. Just a matter of can it get the car back up to speed to where they were a few years ago.
Yeah, I feel like they've improved quite a bit over the last several weeks, and it looks like they're on the right path. They found some things in that car that are getting them, kind of a little closer to McLaren, a little closer to Ferrari. I think they may be at times a little better than Ferrari, but they've been pretty consistent getting on the podium the last couple of races. So, and then of course, the win. Yeah, mind you, the win fell in his lap, but there it is, nonetheless. So,
it happens. Look at Nini, for example. How that win fell in his lap at Suzuka.
Yeah,
there are ways that it falls in your favor.
Ricardo Patrese, Monaco '82.
Yeah, imagine in an alternate universe, Derek Daly, Monaco Grand Prix winner.
You know what? Derek Daly was. Well, there's about 4 or 5 guys that could have won that race, and not one of them could get around to the finish line. But
yeah, the Chasseris could have been a winner.
Yeah.
People forget
that was the craziest race of all time. And I still remember James Hunt was doing the commentary, and he goes, we've got this odd situation where we're sitting at the start finish, waiting for a leader, waiting for a winner to come by, but we don't seem to be getting one. And then once they got Patrese going again, Patrese had no idea he'd won. He figured he was third, fourth, maybe second. He said people were cheering as he drove by. He says, "Oh, maybe I finished second." And no idea he won.
Yeah, and there's another number 2 driver that it seems that makes that was serviceable in his role. It was much more serviceable than Butson when he was with Williams. That's for a fact. But that was the Judd year, so
yeah,
that's a throwaway year if you ask me for Williams. And that 1 year with the Judd, that they were abysmal. Between before they got better again, like that one little bad year.
Yeah, before they got the was a '92 car with the active suspension and where Mansell just tore everybody up.
Yeah, completely tore everybody off, and Patrese showed promise as a number 2 driver. The moral,
Patrese, he won a couple races, finished second in the championship. That's what you want your number 2 to do.
Yeah, it's a buffering zone, and you can see why Senna probably respected Berger aside from the pranks and all of that. I look at Berger, I look at Coulthard and Barrichello as prime example, and Mark Webber, and then modern, even Bottas. I know we talk about how Bottas several years ago, how we criticized Bottas, but at the very least, Bottas was able to be consistently on the podium in Q3 a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we could look at Webber and Bottas as the modern day top tier number 2 drivers. It's you don't know what you have till it's gone type of thing. And I feel like Checo, I don't know what happened, where that spark went away. It's like the moment he won Monaco, he kind of just, it's like he's in his mindset, he's done it all in this business type of mentality. And
yeah,
sometimes when you feel like you've done it all, that's where you lose your edge. I feel like he's lost his edge.
And then when I say, "Hey man, your son, you got another year with us," okay, cool. I don't need to do anything. Coast, phone it in.
They're probably going to have to force him to do something because I'm telling you, McLaren could steal this championship away. And they
we haven't seen a good tight title fight in a while. Not since Lewis and Max, 3-4 years ago?
2021.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
How is?
We haven't seen a good title fight between teammates in
since Rosberg
and Hamilton. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when Bottas was there, and the Max Vettel was the wild card of the whole thing. It was more Hamilton Vettel than Hamilton Bottas and Vettel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're due for that, and I think Lando is like the perfect protagonist in that scenario, and also give McLaren back to his glory days.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing the progress, because it wasn't that many years ago that McLaren was
the worst team on the grid.
A joke, yeah.
They were worse than Williams.
Yeah.
Williams at least had Bottas and Massa. when they're getting those consistent points, whereas with Button and Alonso, couldn't get anything.
Yeah. Yeah, but McLaren was a mess not that long ago. And actually, when they were running the Honda, they got the Honda engine in and then didn't fit in the car. I still remember that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, McLaren was in a massive crisis at that point in the late 2010s. This even affected their IndyCar program. And I still can't believe to this very day that I know this is an IndyCar side of things that they cared more about their colors than, I don't know, improve the car. And look where they're at now. They have put that in the rearview mirror, and yes, we can criticize Zach Brown all we want on the other side of open wheel racing, but when it comes to his Formula One program,
yeah, they're banging on all cylinders right now. Yeah, they're literally, Lando Norris is becoming the guy to beat outside of Max, right?
Yeah,
and he's going to be the guy to beat Max a couple more times this year. All right, so we're off to Silverstone, Richard's home track. Too bad Richard's not here to chime in, but Richard, he's it is July 4th, so he's at home mourning the loss of the colonies.
Oh boy, you're lucky he's not here because I get where you go. But hey, here to help you out, Richard, if you hear this and watch this at some point, Japan and Austria beat us in our game. As in football, even if it's the under 20 club football, but it's football.
All right,
American gridiron football. We lost to them.
So who do you like for Silverstone?
I'm thinking if Lando wants to really showcase he's a title contender, I'm going to go with Lando on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same. Yep. I mean, it's hard to ever bet against Max, but I think McLaren might take this one home. They're going to lick their wounds from last week and come back even stronger. Funny article I saw, because Williams is running a special Union Jack livery to celebrate the team's British heritage. And one of these, Formula One got a lot of clickbaity type sites. Headline is only
not the only ones.
Not the only ones. You're right. It says the only American in Formula One is forced to drive a Union Jack livery on the 4th of July weekend.
They're in England. 4th of July is tomorrow. It won't matter. It's like a who cares type of thing.
Yeah, it's a couple days after the fact, but it's like, hey, what can we write a story about to get some clicks? So yeah, the only American being forced to. I'm like, okay, whatever. But the car looks really sharp with the Union Jack livery. Williams celebrating their British heritage. So
people are talking more about the Euro than 4th of July, if you ask me.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much covers all the Formula One news. Anything else you've heard, or
just the fact that the only thing I really heard is just the fact that just rumor stuff like with Sainz going to Alpine, Briatore now with Alpine, aka Renault again.
Yeah, we talked about Briatore last week on the show. That's not a rumor. That's a done deal.
I was going to mention Sargent leaving to go to Prema, be the favorite to go to Prema.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I haven't heard anything out of Sargent's mouth that he'd like to be an IndyCar. I saw other people saying that. But I guess he'd probably rather be an IndyCar than be unemployed. But, what are you going to do? So,
yeah, we'll see how. We'll see
Carlos Sainz is still, kind of out there, but he may end up at Alpine, right?
Yeah, since Ocon is out of a ride, probably out of the sport. Who knows? Considering how bad it has been with him and Gasly, which everybody knew going in, it was going to be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that wasn't a good idea to put those two together. They don't like one another to begin with. It's like I see Gasly and Ocon, and I think about the scene in Days of Thunder where Tom Cruise and the other
Wheeler?
guy, not Russ Wheeler, Rowdy.
Oh, okay.
In the wheelchairs, racing down the. So they get the 2 rental cars and smash them up. Yep. So
yeah, that's what's going to happen for Carson Hocevar and whoever he ends up putting in the hospital. For all we know at this point.
All right. So speaking of Carson Hocevar, or as I like to call him, Carson Hovercar, because every time I see that, that's what it looks like it says. Yeah. So that we'll go ahead and move on. Talk about the Nashville endurance race, the 6 hours of Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, like not because of the rain that was over about 90 minutes or less than 90 minutes, but it's just everything that happened after lap 295.
Yeah, between the rain delay and 5 overtimes, that race was literally 6 hours. 6 hours start to finish, and I'm like, yikes, you know. They had to move it over to USA in order to because NBC showing Olympic trials. You know, the Olympics are a huge part of NBC sports package this year. Absolutely takes precedent. Moved it over to USA, much to the disappointment of your fans who like to watch reruns of Law and Order. Yeah, so
you saw how it ended, right? Where like the Law and Order sound effect, like before they actually went off air on the NASCAR thing.
No, I don't know if I saw that.
I should probably share it to you just because it's like, no, it's not a fake audio. It's like they literally had the sound effect Law and Order.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah, as Logano was celebrating, it's like, yep, that sums up the race.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So 5 overtimes, right? And we've got. Okay, here's my issue with the overtime thing. A good friend of mine and a good friend of the show, Seth Eggert, who used to be a regular on here, wrote an article that says NASCAR overtime rules are fine as he is. I'm like, I'm waiting to see Seth so I can smack him because
I'm sure Richard has been ready in line for a while.
Oh Lord, I mean, you know, if you're gonna have 5 overtimes, right, and 2 out of those wrecks were for guys that were literally out of fuel and couldn't get going on the restart, caused a pileup behind them, right? So maybe
that's just one of those deals.
So maybe we should think about, you know, before we go into overtime, make a mandatory stop so everybody gets some fucking gas. Wow, I just dropped the F-bomb. That'll cost us. Yeah, everybody gets some gas, right? Just mandatory, you know, non-competition stop. Take it out of the equation, right? Because you got guys that were trying to stretch it. And how the heck Joey Logano, I think he ended up going, 105 laps on a tank.
It was after like Dennis Setzer when he won the truck race one time. How was he able to stretch the fuel? He's lucky that Zane Smith and Tyler Reddick were the ones who finished second instead of like a Denny Hamlin or a Kyle Busch, or a Truex for that matter, where they can look at it as like, how the heck Logano beat us again, and how he's able to do it.
And all those other guys were right there in the mix and all eventually had to go get gas. I mean, realistically, the early portion of the race, Christopher Bell was class of the field. I mean, right now, Christopher Bell is driving every bit like he's the next Cup champion. That guy is good week in, week out, but he ran into some trouble here in Nashville. Wasn't around at the end, right? At a DNF, but before he exited the event, he was a class of the field. He was, he could lead at will. And again, I was talking to somebody else about this. I'm like, dude, this guy is like, he's literally driving like he's gonna be the next Cup champion. Of course, we know the Cup championship is a crapshoot the way the playoffs are set up. But Christopher Bell is really looking like he's got the best car every week, and he's one of the best drivers week in and week out. Of course, then after he's out, We've got a number of different guys up there. Denny Hamlin, who tried to hold it together through 3 or 4 of the restarts till he finally had to get gas. So, I mean, again, how Joey Logano had any gas left in that car is beyond me.
This was another Logano moment that everybody's been scratching their heads or that rile. People forget that Logano. Like, people talk about Hamlin all the time, but when you think of Logano, there's fans that still don't like him. They haven't liked him in ever. Or just going.
Yeah.
Like, some people have not forgotten about him moving Mark Martin out of the way at Pocono. There's been a tale all of this time. Like, it's like that Kendrick Lamar song that when he won the championship. That's pretty much the mentality he has. It's like you'll find a way to make a win happen some way, some form, no matter how it happens. Now we get add a fuel economy, and how he was able to finesse the system to do so to win it.
I don't know what's he been doing, hanging out with Scott Dixon.
I don't know. If fuel was, I don't know. If for all we know, probably I don't.
I'm just saying, it's like I found that because I was looking at who was the next guy that had plenty of fuel, LaJoy.
Yeah, I think they were talking about how LaJoy was up in the mix.
Yeah, LaJoy had enough, and Logano's literally 10 laps over where he should have run out. Still going. Still had enough.
He must have learned something. He must have learned something for Tony Stewart, for all we know. That's why, because Tony was pretty good at fuel conservation, especially when he went to Stewart-Haas.
Yeah, I guess the key to saving your fuel there during those overtimes is just to give the car a little gas in turn 1 and then shut it off and just let the momentum carry you through the rest of the lap. So you need to turn it back on. So
to keep it at pace car speed, don't be a Marcus Ambrose.
Yeah. So, but I mean, what did you think of the Nashville track? I mean, this is our second year there in Cup. Where IndyCars are going to go there, have their finale there later this year. I mean, I thought the track raced fairly well, for a concrete track.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of hard to really compare, honestly, because we still have to figure out what kind of spec, what kind of kit we're going to run in Nashville. Is it big enough or too small enough to go for the oval kit type of thing? It's
no, they're going to run the
third mile.
They're going to run the short oval kit at Nashville. The same one like they run at Iowa, which is the more or less the road course configuration with smaller front wings.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But I can't really fully illustrate it. We'll see how things look in September with Nashville and see how it fares, because it's not like any other oval as well, because it's a concrete oval.
Yeah, it's a weird length too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1 1/3.
I know they call it a super speedway, but it's not really quite big enough to be considered a super speedway.
I think I don't know. It's like what some people say consider as a short track. Others debate if it's a short track and all that stuff. But this scenario would be a super speed. Well, it makes you think whether or not they would try to consider the oval kits, but it doesn't sound like it's still short enough to put in the short.
No, it's too short. Yeah,
even if it's
All right, so
but to go back real quick I mentioned about how if it was Truex, Kyle Busch, or Hamlin that finished behind Logano, they would be scratching their heads. But when you have like Tyler Reddick, who's like very disappointed he lost the race, and then Zane Smith having a career best that no other rookie has done all year, finished second. Like it's been an oddball how your worst rookie pound for pound has the best finish of the season, just like that under one swoop.
Yeah, I thought Zane Smith was going to win that thing for a minute. I figured Zane was going to be right there when Logano ran out of fuel. The problem is Logano didn't run out of fuel.
But huge boost for the 71 team. And also, we talk about Carson, the 71 car, the 77, his teammate. No, that's not his excuse me. To my point, the 77 car, his rookie of the year pretty much all dead on the water after that penalty with taking out Harrison Burton under yellow.
Yeah, I mean, he literally spun a guy during the caution and then picked up
spun him out of a ride too.
Yeah, he's picked up $50,000 fine and 25 points. Doc, 25 points. That's huge, man.
Yeah, because he and Josh Berry had caught up to him in the rookie standing. He had caught up to him. And with that penalty, you could safely give Josh Berry Rookie of the Year at this moment, unless Stewart-Haas really collapse like RCR are right now and blow Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and speaking of Josh Berry, he's been announced as replacing Harrison Burton and the Wood Brothers next year.
Yep, it was confirmed today. So henceforth, the comment Carson spun Harrison out of a ride because
but I mean, where do you think Harrison ends up?
I say he will probably go back to Xfinity. I don't see
Xfinity.
He's damaged goods. Here's the thing about Harrison. It bums me out because I thought he came in with so much high hopes, being a dominant contender in the regionals. Had that one really good year in 2020, and he has done nothing with it since. Winless in 21 in Xfinity in a Gibbs car. Goes to the Wood Brothers. He's like, oh, Speed Weeks is looking great. He may get the upset win. We would be talking about Harrison Burton, not Austin Cindric as a rookie Daytona 500 winner. Nope. Ended up tumbling, and he has not been anywhere near as competitive at all since then, to the point that Matt DiBenedetto's tenure in the Wood Brothers is better than his. And DiBenedetto put their car in the playoffs.
I mean, the Wood Brothers, I mean, you talk about, see how fast the mighty have fallen. They Wood Brothers, I mean, they've been nowhere for a couple of years. The only thing that makes them look good is Stewart-Haas.
Yeah, it's like since Blaney got him back where they were, then put DiBenedetto, he was serviceable, but as they say in the business, shot himself in the foot way too many times to where he's not usable. He's not hireable.
Yeah. Yeah, the best thing ever to happen to Austin Cindric was Brad Keselowski moving over to RFK because that Wood Brothers seat was going to be Cindric until Brad decided to make his deal with RFK.
Yeah, he probably would have done a little bit better. Not great, but a little bit better. I mean, he's won since the Daytona 5. He's won a Gateway not for
right.
Gateway.
Yeah,
and Burton has really done nothing to the point that when you look back to DiBenedetto and Paul Menard, they look more favorable. He's at least with Menard, he for the most part keeps it out of trouble. DiBenedetto can give you a hard fought finish.
Paul Menard is killing it in the Trans Am Series this year.
I have heard that. And
yeah, he's really doing well. He really looks good for for a guy who's spent a number of years in Cup and with very little to show for it other than a big fat Brickyard 400 win. He's really tearing it up in the Trans Am Series. Again, that series doesn't have a lot of eyeballs on it, but Paul is really doing well.
Makes me wonder I would not be surprised because you see NASCAR drivers, especially in the lower level, get Trans Am drivers to run the road to street courses.
Yeah.
Just waiting for that one time Paul Menard gets like a top tier ride for a road course because people forget this a little bit that Paul was kind of a road course guy when he came up.
NASCAR. Absolutely. Yep.
His Cup debut was in 03, which people forget. He debuted in Cup in 03 on a road course.
Yeah, more than 20 years ago. Yeah, it's amazing how time flies. Yeah. So,
but for Barry, before we jump to Jeff real quick, for Barry going to the Wood Brothers, I mean, I think it's gonna mesh pretty well. When you look at the Wood Brothers, kind of like the feel like home type of team. And I think with Barry doing a pretty serviceable job in a lame duck year for him, it's Stewart-Haas because they're going to fold. They're going to close shop.
Well, evidently, Gene's going to hold on to one charter and keep a one car team in Cup.
Yeah, like Cole Custer and Riley
Haas
Hurst
factory team
bound. Yeah,
yeah. So All right, so we're off to Chicago, Chicago street race. And the bad news for all of Hailie Deegan's fan base is that they're deciding to sit her out of her Xfinity ride and put Joey Logano in the car. How that came about,
It's a thing called owners points and how many cars are entered for Chicago, because the 15th team is in the bottom of the point standings, a full-time Xfinity team. They're dead last. And with the top 33 guaranteed, they're outside the top 33 right now, the 15th team, to where if Deegan was in the car, there's a likelihood chance she'll fail to qualify despite running the whole season.
Right. I'm just wondering how Joey Logano falls into the mix there. I'm like,
I think it's about Ford deal. And
they had to run that through Penske, I'm sure. And, and Joey's various sponsors, but, it is a Ford car. So he's not, it's not like he's jumping in a Toyota.
Yeah. I think it boils down to more experience, proven winner on some way or shape or form.
Obviously that's why they want Logano. I'm just, wondering what transpired to make this possible, because it's kind of an unusual move, for former Cup champion to hop down in one of the smaller, lower tier Xfinity teams. They must have wrote a pretty good sized check, I'm sure.
Yes, there are not a lot of Ford teams in general. When you look across the National Touring Division, there are not a lot of Ford teams when you really think about it. And also, just they see it's like he could get this car into the field, not having to worry about missing the show.
Yeah.
Whereas Deegan, I think her average road course finishes is 28th or worse.
Yeah, she's not exactly setting the world on fire with her driving.
No, and I think when you have other road ringers, and even road ringers, that when you look on the papers, like who's Austin Green? Austin Green is, of course, it's a part of the Green family, and he had that strong top result, strong Dakota, strong Rizzo Dakota. So when you have guys like from that side of the world, it doesn't hurt to get somebody else. But for Deegan, I think it's a wrap. In my opinion, it's a wrap. I think.
Yeah, that's just out of her wheelhouse, Chicago street race. So, and you got a number of big names coming in. Joey Hand's going to run the race. SVG obviously is going to be in the Cup race. Who else?
SVG's looking to get 3 straight Rotor Street Course wins in a row in Xfinity. So because of that, he's on a hot winning streak. It could be more if he does get the job done in Xfinity. And then
isn't he running the Cup race as well?
Yes, he's running the 16 car, the Wendy's chicken spice, whatever they call it, chicken nugget spice thing.
Some Wendy's crap, yeah.
Yeah. But I'll be curious to see how that's going to evolve. Some people think, if I remember, Justin Hailie must have said that he hopes that the field has catch up to SVG. But the thing about SVG, when he won it, he had a really good run, but he wasn't the dominant car all race long.
No,
he just got up there towards the end. So who knows how much of a difference a year will make, to be honest with you.
I mean, here's the thing. The fact that it was first year they raced there kind of even the playing field. It was a brand new track for everybody. Then you got a guy who's really used to this type of race and comes in there and does well. Like, as you saw, once they got to like Watkins Glen and Sonoma, tracks that all the other drivers are very, very familiar with, and SVG was not up there winning. So
yeah, and that boils down honestly
still did reasonably well.
Driving for, because this year he's been driving for Colleague, and Colleague has been
questionable, to say the least. Yeah, abysmal. That's a good word too.
And the Cubs level, and there's like this thing where it shows the average finish per stage, and Hamrick looks like improves as the race goes on, but he's still not in the top. He's still towards the bottom. So how much of a difference does it really make?
All right, so who do you like for Chicago Street Race on the Cup side of it?
It's either going to be between Tyler Reddick or Michael McDowell.
Are they putting Allmendinger in the Cup race?
I don't think I saw his name. If he is, he'd be in the 13 car because SVG is in the 16. I don't think he is, though, to my knowledge.
Yeah,
but SVG is in the 16 car, so that leaves Allmendinger to the 13 or none for the Cup race.
Or none, yeah, you're right. So, because Allmendinger is hard to bet against in any road course. But Reddick should be good. You know, I almost wonder if
you can never count out Truex either, or
Truex, or even Chase Elliott to an extent.
Yep. And people keep sleeping on Elliott as being the most consistent driver of the season. They look at Larson as the top guy, Bell the top contender. Elliott, yes, he still has just one win, but he's still been consistent. Even when he missed races due to that snowboarding incident, he still ran fairly good. He's not. He's not dropped, but it seems like it's been the case ever since day one with Chase Elliott. It's always something. It's like, oh, he ain't doing this. Elliott's been the most consistent finisher.
Yeah, people don't pay attention. They want to see the wins.
Yeah. Speaking of wins in the one car, the one race he's won this year, that's also made the waves as well. The Hooters sponsorship, of which Elliott won at Texas earlier this year.
Yep. And Hooters is backed off from their agreement. I think they had one or two more races on the thing, but
I think it was Richmond being one of them, I think.
Yeah, but Hooters as a restaurant chain is in real trouble. They closed another several hundred restaurants the other day. 2 decades ago, Hooters had about 500 locations.
There used to be a couple in my state too.
Yeah, now they have about 143 with more closures planned. And I know this is off the subject of racing, but here's a restaurant chain with a concept that peaked in the 90s, and they haven't tweaked it or updated it since. You know, you've got to change with the times. You've got to stay current. You know what I mean? It's not really considered cool anymore to objectify women. You know, but that's just where it starts. You know, their menu is the same old crap they've had. So they're floundering, and funneling money into a Cup team is not what they need to do when they need to keep the company afloat with the precious few stores they have left. But there you go. Here ends my TED Talk about Hooters.
Yes, my under assumption is thinking if they're going to leave Hendrick, they're probably going to go with, I don't know, Penske and Blaney. Why not? I mean, consider Blaney's fiance. That's was my initial thought when I first heard about it. But then I was thinking
Hooters is going into bankruptcy. They're not going to put any more money in a Cup.
No, not anymore after Hendrick issued a press statement about it. But the initial way was thinking where they're going to go. Penske, because Blaney's fiance was a former Hooters girl, makes sense logically. Then Hendrick's statement pretty much said, yeah, they're not coming back. This game over. Elliott's win at Texas, that ended that long drought for Hooters as far as a win in the Cup Series. That's chapter closure.
Yeah, again, like I said, that's a chain that peaked in the 90s. You know, they had their heyday at the same time. Alan Kowicki was winning a championship for them.
You could say the same thing about a lot of wrestlers, like a Chuck E. Cheese. You could arguably say it peaked in the 90s too.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese, there's not many of those left. Yeah.
No, we don't have one in my state anymore either.
Applebee's, Red Lobster, a lot of these chains are just disappearing left and right. So, all right, so let's talk about the IndyCar a little bit because we had some driver news there. So, Christian Lundgaard is going to be in the McLaren number 7 car next year, and Alexander Rossi is out, looking for work next year.
Top 10 in points right now, Rossi. F1 has I was gonna say, heads up as a reminder, Rossi's in the top 10 of the point standings, and he doesn't have a ride right now.
Speculation is that he's got something lined up, because they say the move is mutual.
Yeah,
mutual agreement. They were looking at putting a deal together, couldn't come to terms, and from what I see, Rossi doesn't seem angry or bitter, so it just makes me think he's got something
bigger. Hopefully, I would imagine.
People keep saying maybe he's going to Prima. I really don't see that as bigger.
No, it's an upstart team unless the team really wants a driver with proven experience to help them out.
I'm sure they could use that, but when it comes to Prima, I'm still in the I'll believe it when I see a car on the grid of St. Pete. Because we've seen some of these other startup teams that never started up. Beth Peretta Motorsports, you know what I mean? Will Mariotti Motorsports, right?
Or that Dragon team that I can't remember. Oh yeah, Dragon Speed, but that was pandemic
Dragon
related.
Speed, yep, Dragon Speed. What's the one that
the other Dragon team that was the 77 car that Serbia drove?
Top Gun Racing.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, they're come and gone. So, like I say, Prima's got a pretty good name in junior categories in Europe. But then again, so did Carlin, and they were only in IndyCar for a short time. Yukos had a pretty good record in junior series, and they're struggling in IndyCar. I mean, they're on the grid.
They can't get sponsorships for crying out loud.
Yeah. I mean, mind you, Grosjean gave the team their best finish. They finished fourth their last race out. So
which was very needed after all the fiasco that's happened in the last several weeks.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the other thing they can't keep out of the controversy.
Which is probably why they can't get sponsorships either.
That doesn't help their cause any,
No.
In the meantime, McLaren's got so many sponsors, they're renting space on Ecos cars to fit their extra sponsor decals until they piss McLaren off. So,
where do you think Rossi goes then? Do you think Penske are willing to expand if it's something bigger?
No, I think Penske is very comfortable with a 3-car team.
Which makes sense, honestly, but I'm trying to think where bigger could he go type of thing.
Well, I mean,
obviously Rossi is driven for Penske and IMSA. But that's just the extension if it goes.
I don't know that Rossi's done enough to merit a Penske drive at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
I mean, if it was 2019, I'd say Penske be all over him, right?
Or even before McLaughlin considered running IndyCar.
Yeah,
but could have been in that spot now.
I mean, Rossi's just been kind of barely hanging on. Mind you, he's having a pretty good season this year.
Yeah, he's top 10 in points. He still can showcase his muscle in the 500. Which is what's concerning about if he somehow goes to Rahal. That will be the ultimate test to say, okay, Rossi's a really damn good racer in the Indy 500. But if we can say, for example, he goes to Rahal. This is a hypothetical. Does well in the 500. We could arguably say he could be an all-time great of this century. To be able to get that kind of team that's been floundering and struggling to even make the 500 to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean,
in the last few years, Sato.
The last guy Sato. Yeah, exactly. Although I'm pretty sure Rail's kind of all in on Yuri Vips.
Yeah,
who plays Lundgaard. Unless Graham Rahal wants to step down and just take on the team, team owner, team manager role, and maybe just run the Indy 500. I don't see any indication that Graham wants to do that, but nearly everybody else on social media would like to see him do that. But I don't think Graham.
I think he'd be busy.
He's done. Yeah, so
I don't think he's fully ready to just fully run a motorcycle team, because that's another thing that he's been involved to lately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, golly, I just look at the time. We got about 3 minutes left. So real quick, the teams that didn't test in Milwaukee, which would be Juncos and Ganassi, they managed to get their test time in Milwaukee, so everybody's all set and on board. All the teams tested the hybrids at Iowa, and surprisingly, the speeds are up over last year with the partial repave, and some of the drivers are really excited. They think we're going to see a really, really great race at Iowa with that hybrid package. Now we'll see the hybrid for the first time this coming weekend at Mid-Ohio, and it'll be interesting to see if it all goes off without a hitch, or if we have some technical issues here and there, which we indeed may. So, and then lastly, John Force, out of the ICU, out of his induced coma, still has a very, very long road to recovery ahead of him. So just continue to keep John Force in your thoughts. But that takes us to the end of the hour. So I want to thank you, Louise. I want to thank Keith Hayes, our producer, Sinister One Productions, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spotify. But most of all, I want to thank you folks that listened to us tonight. Louise and I just rambling here. And until next week, have a great night.
Thanks for watching Drafting the Circuits. Make sure to follow Drafting the Circuits on Facebook, Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. Drafting the Circuits is a Sinister One production.